the Licensing Act 2003 committee, which has been convened via Teams as a remote meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available to view on the council's website as soon as it's practical after the meeting. Everyone participating in this meeting will be accessing it from remote locations. Please could everyone ensure mobile phones are switched off or on silent mode. Members and officers will have received an electronic copy of the agenda. And I'll ask officers to present a summary of the key points. For the record, the agenda can be viewed on the council's website. Members and officers will be speaking at various points during the meeting, and those speaking may switch on their microphones at that point. But I would ask, with the exception of myself as chairperson, at all other times you keep your microphones switched off, as this will help minimize any background noise and interference, and will ensure that the connection remains as stable as possible. Please could members keep their cameras on at all times during the proceedings. If any members or officers wish to raise a point or question, they should press the hands up icon on the screen at the top right-hand side of the Microsoft Teams window, and I'll come to you in the order I receive requests. Please lower your hands once you've finished speaking. The chat button has been disabled for this meeting. Please do not use your microphone until I invite you to do so. Officers from Democratic Services will be supporting the meeting and will be monitoring the use of microphones throughout the duration of the meeting, and where necessary, will be muting those not in use. I would also ask officers to introduce themselves as and when I invite them to speak during the course of the meeting. They too should ensure microphones are switched off when not in use. I will now proceed to the agenda business. Do we have apologies for absence? I've got Councillor Kern and possibly Councillor Bennett, as she's got an unstable connection.
And also Councillor Easterbrook, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Agenda item 3 is the Licensing Act 2003 and Gambling Act 2005 delegation of functions. Can I bring Yvonne in now for this, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. It's Yvonne Witchell, the Senior Licensing Officer. The report before you this morning is procedural in nature, relating to the discharge of the functions of the Council under the Licensing Act 2003 and Gambling Act 2005, and to confirm arrangements for the formation of subcommittees following the annual meeting of Council 2024, which took place on the 15th of May, where Councillor Colin Davis joined the Licensing Act 2003 full committee. Within your report, it explains that the arrangements for the Licensing Act and the Gambling Act are slightly more prescriptive in nature, and that includes the delegation of functions. And the principle of the delegation is that decisions, it sets out in the legislation and the statutory guidance where decisions may not be undertaken by officers, and these are generally where representations are made by the statutory agencies to certain applications, or objections made by local residents to applications in relation to licensed premises or gambling premises. The proposals are that the arrangements remain the same, in that, in the interest of effective performance, it's proposed to delegate the responsibility for authorising officers to the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy, and for that officer to institute proceedings under the Gambling Act and the Licensing Act. And it's also proposed that where appropriate, the Chief Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, HR and Corporate Policy, the Team Manager Licensing, and the Senior Licensing Officer are authorised to acknowledge and issue notices and all the other day-to-day functions as outlined in 3.2 of your report. The committee is also asked to approve the existing arrangement of the formation of further subcommittees consisting of 3 members of the Licensing Act 2003 to determine applications under the Licensing Act and Gambling Act, and that those subcommittees are chaired by the chairperson or vice chairperson of the Licensing Act 2003 committee where possible. And in the event where those members are not able to attend, a chairperson will be elected from the panel in situ. Those are the proposals. As outlined, Councillor Colin Davis has joined the Licensing Act 2003 committee and therefore is eligible upon completion of training to be selected as one of the panel of 3 for applications. And that's the report we have before you, Chair.
Is there any questions from anybody? I thank you very much, Yvonne.
Sorry, Chair, can we just have a mover and a seconder of the report and members all in agreement?
I'll move that, Chair.
And I second.
Thank
All
you.
agreed members?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you.
there you go. So agenda item 4, any urgent matters?
None, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mark. Right, okay, so that was another quick one. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair.
And